In chapter 4.2, we're going to continue talking a little bit about preterite and imperfect. Just to review, it is such a big topic in Spanish 2 and ultimately in Spanish 3 and really throughout the rest of Spanish classes that a review and going over some more examples and to reiterate that is necessary. Again, going over the basics, what the preterite tense is going to describe is any time in a story you're expressing main idea, what began and ended, or what happened or occurred. Most of the time what you'll hear me say in terms of why is it in preterite tense, I would say it's a completed past action. It only happened once. It's really the meat of the story. Well, the imperfect tense is for when you say you used to do something, but more than anything, it's used for background location. And if we remember our acronym AWETLAP, age, weather, emotions, time, location, attitude, physical state, and progressive action. We have keywords that are going to trigger. There's many more keywords than what I have here, but more than anything, these are the big ones that you'll see a lot, and any words that tend to follow the style of these words is going to be important for you. So you can see in the preterite tense, keywords like last night, yesterday, last month, last week, suddenly, on Monday, one time, very specific words in terms of specific times when things are going on. While the imperfect tense is a little bit more vague in terms of when it happened in the past. You'd say things like sometimes, once in a while, every summer, frequently, on Mondays, always, never. And we'll talk about what mientras means in just a little bit. Um, but those are more vague words that you're going to see as opposed to very concrete, specific periods of time. Mientras is when you are going to use that progressive action, the P in OWETLAP, to explain two things that were going on simultaneously in the past. So, for example, I was washing dishes, progressive past action, while you were watching TV. Two actions both going on at the same time. So that mientras, meaning while, is going to be connecting to progressive past actions, and we'll always see examples of that in class. Some more examples of that you'll see again. The more examples that you see, the better. Eran las 7:30 cuando vine a la escuela. When you're defending your reasoning for choosing preterite and imperfect, you're going to be able to pull from keywords. You're going to be able to pull from specific situations. You're going to be able to pull from main ideas. So for this one, what we can see is that we're expressing time, which is going to trigger the imperfect tense, so eran. The reason that we're going to choose preterite tense is because what we see the word cuando, and we know that it's an interrupting sentence. Because we know it's an interrupting sentence, it was 7:30 when I came to school. Technically, me coming to school is technically interrupting the fact that it was 7:30 at the time. He did not go to school because he did not want to. How many times did he not go to school? It was just once. A completed past action. It was just one time because he didn't want to. And that's one of those words, querer, in the preterite tense has a different meaning, where the imperfect tense actually means that he wanted to. And you could also assume that he didn't want to is like a physical state or an emotion or perhaps a background. There's not a specific moment when he didn't want to. It was an overall feeling or an emotion, triggering the imperfect tense. How many times can she say that there's a test? Not a very vague thing. She said it once, she stated it, it's over and done. And we also see the keyword ayer triggering the preterite of decir, dijeron. El lunes, keyword for the preterite tense. On Monday, my brother drove, preterite tense. Age expressed here when I was 6 years old or when I had 6 years. We bought this. How many times can you buy a dog? Completed past action, it's over. We didn't used to buy a new dog. We just bought one. I was in class, location, physical state, description, background information. Again, we see then another cuando interrupting sentence, which leads us to say that how many times can the teacher bring us candy? Once, an interrupting sentence. She was talking with her friends, progressive past action, interrupted by it's starting to rain. Preterite tense. Hacía sol is weather. Cuando interrupting sentence. Mis amigos y yo fuimos a la playa. We went. So here you're seeing more interrupting sentences where one part is imperfect and one part is preterite. I did not do well on the exam because I had a fever. How many times could you take an exam? Once, it's completed, it's over. But then again, you're describing a physical state or well-being, so imperfect. Tenía fiebre. Every day, keyword for the imperfect. Traíamos comes from traer. Yesterday, keyword for the preterite tense leí. Every day, keyword for the imperfect construíamos. 2 days ago, a specific period of time, preterite tense vino. They always used to bring their lunches. You see the always, the used to, really pointing to the imperfect tense. Used to believe in ghosts. You see the used to, and so you know that you're going to go with the imperfect tense again. And I looked for my Spanish homework last night. Last night is a keyword for the imperfect, or the preterite tense, forgive me. And then finally, last week, a very specific period of time, condujimos in the preterite tense. My family and I drove to Minneapolis. Never is going to be a keyword for imperfect. Quería. Last Friday, a very specific period of time. Mis amigos hicieron tacos. Used to play every day. We see the used to, which points us to imperfect, and then it's again reinforced by the keyword todos los días. Now we're going to move on to two commands. Take a break from the preterite tense and the imperfect tense, talking about the past, and start talking about the present. To commands are when you are commanding somebody to do something. A to command, specifically, as opposed to a formal usted command, is when you are commanding a friend or someone you know well to do something. And that's when you're going to use a to command. More than anything, the very simple rule is just use the el, ella, usted form of a verb. So when you want to say buy something, if you want to say buy the ticket, you can just say compra el boleto, and you are telling somebody to buy it. Instead of saying compras el boleto, which is you buy the ticket, compra el boleto just means buy it. Eat it, come. More often than not, you're going to see these exclamation points. That's really just to reinforce right now at the level 2 that when you see exclamation points, we're kind of talking about commands. You might be able to pick them out better when you're reading. But this does not mean that every command you have to shout or that it's aggressive. It's as simple as when I say, pon todas las cosas al suelo, put everything on the floor. It's not anything aggressive or anything I shout, it's just me telling you to do something. Be careful with voot verbs. Remember, because that they are in the el, eo, usted form of a verb, el, eo, usted falls within the boot, so any boot verbs are going to change. For example, if I wanted to say start, empieza, or sleep would be duerme. There are irregulars in the two commands. We have 8, and they are venir, decir, salir, hacer, tener, ir, poner, and ser. For venir, ven, if you've ever heard ven aquí, means come here. Di comes for, or is for decir, meaning say, so tell the truth, di la verdad. Salir is sal, so if I wanted to say leave here, sal de aquí. Haz is do, so do your homework, haz la tarea. Tener becomes ten. This works really well with those tener expressions. For example, be careful, ten cuidado, have caution. Ir is ve, so if you want to tell somebody to go, it's ve. Pon, you hear all the time in class when I tell you to put things in certain places. And then se means be, so if I wanted to say be creative, se creativo. The way to remember these irregulars, vendi sal as ten ve ponce. Kind of sounds a little bit like saying Vin Diesel has 10 weapons, eh? You could practice that in your best Canadian accent. This is a little command song that we covered in class, so if you ever see it brought up or we sing it, this is what we're talking about. Some answers for you. If I wanted to say walk 2 blocks, camina 2 cuadros or cuadras. Sigue derecho, continue straight. Cross the street, cruza la calle. Be careful. Ten cuidado. Stop here, para aquí. Tell the truth, di la verdad. And be creative, sé creativo. So you can see the first 3, along with para aquí, are just regular LAU-stead forms of verbs, but you have to watch out for those 10 irregulars, and you can remember them by Vin Diesel has 10 weapons, or Vin Diesel has 10 weapons. Oh, and finally, venir aquí, ven aquí, come here.